Alright, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic. That's known classic. This is episode number 3397, Doubleshot number 3291. Got two Star Trek trades. First of which is Star Trek by Mike Johnson, Volume 5. Yes, this book contains issues 17 and 20 of Star Trek, the first major Star Trek ongoing series by, book simply just called Star Trek by IDW. So, unlike the previous trades which had story arcs, this one is, by the way, is more by Mike Johnson. We also have Ryan Parrott, Leonard Johnson, and artwork by Kalani Caberti. So, this is, believe it or not, a bunch of one-shot issues focused on each member of the crew that's not Kirk. The first issue is focused on McCoy, where he was a doctor on their ship, where he was married, had a daughter who wants to become a Starfleet captain. Despite in the prime timeline, she became a doctor just like her father. And so is the fact that he's a very caring father. You see, various people. Eventually, by the end of the story, he gets married, and eventually later on, he gets divorced from his wife because he's needed in space. Yep. And then eventually we see him, and then we reference the events of the movie, basically to that and stuff related to him and him become part of the Enterprise. Also, because the previous medical officer died during the movie, he actually automatically becomes chief medical officer, which he's like, tell me something I don't know. Yeah, it's a nice standalone story. The second one is called Voice of a Falling Star. This focuses on Uhura. Yes. Simply put, this story here is the start of pretty much the origin of a romance with Spock. Yeah, Spock is another character who did get a lot of development in the movie. So it's like, anyone who's not Kirk or Spock, this book pretty much these issues explain what these characters are up to prior to joining the Enterprise. So, kind of. So, we kind of get basically our first meeting, Spock, and there's a mind meld. They talk about her grandparents, and basically her become a communications officer, talking with her uncle, who's seems like an awesome guy. And for some weird reason, I don't know if basically this is done on purpose, but face-wise, he looks a lot like Tom Russ, aka the actor who played Tuvok. I wonder if that was done on purpose, some shots of this thing. And also, at one point, her father has got a very similar face. In one shot, makes him look like Avery Brooks, except with hair. And then you see Uncle go off, and sadly, where he dies. And this starts the romance between Uhura and Spock. Now, the third issue in here, issue 19, focuses on Scotty. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Chekhov. The last issue focuses on Sulu, where he does the similar thing that happened with Wesley in the show, in Next Generation, with the whole Starburst burst, a movement that was banned by Starfleet, which nearly cost him basically a friend of his. So he's like, I don't care if I have to drive Starships for 10 years. Basically, I'm not joining Red Squad. And Red Squad leader is like, well, you're making a mistake. And that was issue 20. Scotty's issue is mostly put him just, obviously before he got to, the best way to describe it for this issue, it's basically events for him before he got to Delta Vega. That was the name of the place where Scotty and his assistant was, basically when Kirk was stranded on the planet, and just by sheer coincidence, Spock was there. Well, Prime Spock, which I think anybody who saw 2009 Star Trek were probably just cheering like crazy the fact we actually saw an original series actor in the movie. Well, because at the time, at least one was dead at that point. That was basically McCoy. So, we see Scotty, where he basically it's like, yeah, he does the bagpipes, which he gives he's Scottish. And he sees a starship being built on the ground, this being the Enterprise, obviously. Actually, it's not the Enterprise, I think it's a different ship, because Kirk sees the Enterprise built on the ground, which is interesting. So, it's basically his dream to become a starship engineer. And for some weird reason, he teleports Porthos, Admiral Archer's dog, from Enterprise, which, weirdly enough, in the previous set of issue, he just magically returned. Yes, after who knows how long, I think, oh yeah. And then he ends up in the place where he meets the assistant, obviously. Which this leads to stuff related to the previous issue. And then we have Red Level Down, which is something I mentioned with basically with Sulu. There is stuff here with Chekhov as well. Kind of basically where they kind of first meet, kind of their interaction. It's like they kind of merge two stories into one. There's a reappearance by Kirk, but he does not play a role in the story. But yeah, like I already mentioned, basically some stuff happened here, but this book overall was really good. It is interesting, though. We focused on the other characters from the movie, but in the case of Sulu and Chekhov, interesting. Basically, we kind of get stories with them, like this dolish focus on between the two of them. I guess because it's 4 issues, why not? But overall, great book overall. I think with the very next trade, I think that's also the last one to be set after the Star Trek 2009 movie, and I think afterwards for the remainder of the second half of the series, it's the time frame between Into Darkness and Star Trek Beyond. Next up we have is Mirror Images. Yep, I didn't know this book even existed. It's done by David and Scott Tipton. The artwork is by David Messina, with assisted by Sarah Bocelli. Awesome. So we go to. So basically, there's a kind of a 2 split. So this book has, I think it's 5 issues. About 4 of these issues are focused. At least most of this book is focused on. Now, the stuff hidden in this book is stuff that was mildly referenced in one scene of the popular episode Mirror Mirror from the original series. One of the most popular episodes of the original series. The one that introduced the popular image of Spock with a goatee. Because it's the Mirror Universe. And also mentioned the episode that Kirk killed Christopher Pike with this device, which this book basically sets that up. And shows the reason why basically Kirk had to kill him. And just by a weird coincidence, they actually have the shuttlecraft. This book says ISS Enterprise. And for some reason, it looks like the shuttlecraft they use in the show. I'm sure they're probably the guy reference point to basically draw from. So they just add a couple things related to it. Of course, it looks a little beaten up because it's Terran Empire. So then, of course, McCoy just stitches him up. And it's like, yeah. Also, this is kind of interesting. So, I don't really understand why this is, because in the episode itself, when they had Mirrorverse McCoy and had wear the clothes of his Mirrorverse counterpart, he had no sleeves. Nobody has sleeves here. A lot of the primary characters. But for some reason, McCoy's got sleeves, despite the fact in the episode he didn't. So, also we see that Pike has survived many assassination attempts because there's holes in the back of his uniform. I would think because, even though it's the Empire, they would at least have a clean uniform for him. Nope, he just doesn't care. And then we see Kirk. Kirk is pretty much the first officer. And he's working with the Doctor, of course. Then we're thinking, the main character being the first officer, and the guy who is a friend of his, the guy he basically is, he likes, is basically the captain of the ship, not him. You're probably thinking, does this sound very familiar to a lot of people? Sounds a lot like Amira Darkly, where Archer was first officer, and the Admiral in the primetime line is the captain of the Enterprise. I find it interesting, but I wonder if basically that was a nod to this. So basically, Scotty has to think, okay, we gotta get this device installed that we have to get from some people. We see him stabbing some mysterious woman. Who this is, don't know. Scotty is very reluctant to work with this version of Kirk. Well, this, of course, is the universe. And we do see Spock, still science officer. We finally see him. 80 pages in, we finally see universe Spock. And he does dress like this in the show as well. Yeah, the uniforms, I do gotta admit, the uniforms are fantastic here. So, and it's like, yeah, and then we see like, oh, we see a guy named Lee who's actually not in the show, which, yeah, because I said before, and then we see this mysterious woman who is New Yellman, and then later on we see her adjusting her shirt, implying the fact that Pike had sex with her. Yeah, as New Yellman, break her in by simply having sex with her because she's the captain's woman. So it's like, being the Yellman means the captain's woman. Yeah, so there's a difference between Pike and and basically we debate some stuff here. Also, we do see Uhura. At least I got her outfit correct. Yes, she did wear this in the show, which good on the artist remembering the fact she dressed like that. And you're probably thinking, where's Sulu? By the way, Sulu in the universe has a scar across his face. Yes, he did. And his shirt was red, and he was the chief security officer, despite the fact in the primetime line he was the helmsman. So then we see this cargo, and then we have this dilithium, and then they're given 3 Organian girls, and like, oh, he threatened us. Oh, now we see the Sulu scar. Yep, right there in the face. Good on basically the Irish member. Oh yeah, he has a scar. As for how he got it per se, it's implied a woman did that to him, but it's never really stated how he got the scar. But I'm glad the fact the Irish remember the fact he had a scar. So yeah, and of course basically where they possibly trick him. So we have the 3 Organian women who basically go over Sulu, and then of course then Kirk pulls a phaser on them. Like, oh, give all the cargo and then keep the women as collateral. Oh, and then Kirk takes the 3 Organian women and has a 4-way with them. And I'm like, seeing this and like seeing these 3 all butt naked in his quarters, I'm like, standard Kirk. He would definitely do this. Oh yeah, the Organian ship, it blows up. Yep. Also, they wanted a device for their ship so badly. So, Kirk wanted Scotty to install this device to do something. We'll find out what it is later on. The device actually is used in the episode itself. So, and then Kirk ponders, and then we cut to Mirror Universe Picard, who literally is actually bald, and wearing... this is interesting though with Picard. You've been thinking, wait, is this tie into with the Layer Mirror Universe stuff? Not exactly, no. Where he does wear the uniform he was wearing when he was a cadet, when he was younger. Where he apparently, he killed his captain. Yeah, he killed his captain. I do appreciate, though, to keep the same uniforms. I should point out, though, that when it comes to Picard, now, what the Next Generation never did on screen was explore a mirror universe in that show, what a mirror universe characters from that show would look like. The only character from that show kind of got a mirror universe counterpart was actually Worf. But that was episode of Deep Space Nine. Yes. So, oh yeah, and also when this female officer, we see that, oh yeah, show over the med drip because it's a Terran Empire. We have the one be smoking hot. Yep, and then we have, I think this is the Stargazer, I believe this is, or no, it's not the Stargazer. It's a different ship because it's not played to be it's like this is a mirror universe version of what happened. That an event that happened was mentioned in the episode The Battle. And instead of the Ferengi, it's the Cardassians, which of course Picard proceeds to maneuver by them because he was the helmsman. And she gets fired upon. Oh yeah, and also he kills the captain. Yes, he stabs the captain in the back because it's a Terran Empire. The only way to rise in rank is to kill the one who's higher ranked than you. And this somehow makes Picard the captain. Also mentioned, oh yeah, Jack Crusher was killed. No mention of Dr. Crusher here. Nope. And then, of course, he gets away. And I think the woman here is implied to be, I think it's the same woman that was from the episode from season 7. The one with the Picard was, I think it was season 7 with the heart thing. So, and of course, Kirk confirms the crew no longer with the Empire and the fact he's the captain. It's a brief interlude. And then we're back to story. That was issue 2, mind you. Issue 2. Where Kirk is planning to overthrow Pike. It's obvious he's going to do that. So, he intercepts a message. So, actually, no, it's actually Pike does it. And then he just walks around. He just finds Kirk and McCoy just walking about. And we see this planet. And we see this guy who gets transferred to Kirk's personal staff, who saves his life on this alien planet because they want to get hands on Klingon technology. So, and apparently, get this, apparently this guy was actually ordered by Pike to kill Kirk because, being a threat to him. Like, you might be thinking, wait a minute, another officer being ordered by the captain of the current ship or trying to kill the main character. Yeah, that's something they also did on Enterprise. Yep. It's like Scott Tipton's taking notes from Enterprise with this one. Not exactly beep, but using similar ideas. Except that it's actually not a regular character from the show, it's just its original character. I do at least appreciate that. It's a similar idea you take from that, but not exactly carbon copying it. Because you probably think, oh, maybe it was one of the other officers to do this. Like, it can't be Spock. So, I think the Tiptons knew, okay, so we want to use this plot idea from Enterprise with the whole thing of an officer being ordered to kill the main character, but he didn't do it because, and also the fact that, well, if the person failed. The difference is it's a black guy instead of being a Vulcan. So, also taking the agony booth. McCoy's taking there too, but he recovers. And then the device is installed. So, Pike's bodyguard is mysteriously disappears. Basically, he's vaporized. And then Kirk sees Pike in his crosshairs. Oh yeah, and also McCoy is put in the agony booth. And then we see Chapel looks very different now as you look in the show. I was actually surprised at the fact that the artist altered Chapel's look, because Chapel, little fun fact comes to Nurse Chapel. In the TV show, she was portrayed by Gene Roddenberry's real-life wife. Yep, who later played Loxana Troy Next Generation. Here it's just some woman who they say is Chapel, even though that looks nothing like the actress. And apparently Kirk is basically like with her, and of course, like, yeah, she's trying to introduce him. Of course, McCoy is never late. And then somehow, for some reason, Pike thinks he's a gangster by holding a phaser like this sideways. I'm like, is he a freaking moron? Yeah, like, the thing is, I have heard people basically talk about this, holding a gun sideways. Think you're so cool holding a gun sideways. But the thing is, the critique with that, it looks stupid. And then he turns the face up. This I hold a gun, not like this. It looks so stupid. And then, of course, Kirk proceeds to have a communicator beep, and then Kirk kicks a phaser at Pike's hand, kicks him to a wall. Well, basically a bicycle kick. Yes, a bicycle kick. Drop kick, and then kicks to the wall. And, well, then they proceed to fight each other. And then, I think it's Henderson. Like, oh, maybe he's turning on Kirk. Nope. He's turning on Pike. And then, of course, basically, Pike is immediately vaporized by Kirk thanks to the device. And with that, he is made captain. And Spock is named the first officer because he's one to assume. Despite he's also still. It was still an agreement they had, and Kirk is immediately recognized as new captain. Yeah, as per standard protocol, Captain Christopher Pike has been relieved from command due to his dereliction of duty and lack of fitness for captaincy. As declared, Stardate 1299.7, Captain James T. Kirk, Commander, IS Enterprise. And then he has his line like, enjoy your moment of victory, Kirk, the last bit of happiness you have in that damn chair. And that's it. That's the miniseries. Gotta admit, this was really good. Now you're probably thinking, does this lead to the events of Mirror? Unknown if it does or not. It is, of course, really good. It's a damn good book. That's the thing about Tiptons. They actually do a really good job when it comes to stories like this. Like, you can clearly tell these two are clearly fans of Star Trek. They love the franchise. And it's a good thing IDW employs them because, like, the Tiptons, they basically hit out the park, basically, when it comes to these books. Of all the books I've read that they've written, I've never come across a bad book they've written because, like, it's really good. This is all, like, just a few issues. I think, like, the longest one they ever did was actually Star Trek Next Generation Doctor Who Assimilation Squared. That was the first noteworthy one I didn't know of. I did know also about Star Trek Planet Apes. That was really good too. But this was awesome. Loved it. I give this book a 10 out of 10. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. I thought I was going to watch Kamen Rider and Number 7 Gozuju tonight, but I'm just going to stick with my anime because I've got 4 more to do. So next up, my stay as an assassin obviously exceeds the hero. The reason? It's a penultimate episode. Okay, next video. Bye.